this is Teacher Febe, and today I'll be demonstrating an activity using the Intentional Teaching Card LL40. What was for breakfast? The objective of this activity is to demonstrate emerging writing skills and alphabet knowledge. The materials we will be using are paper, crayon, marker, or pencil, and 2 breakfast items. For example, like a cereal or oatmeal, and you can also use a real fruit, like a banana. To start this activity, we can invite the student to the table and explain that we will be talking about what they had for breakfast. And then we're going to be drawing and writing about what they had for breakfast. So to start, we need 2 breakfast items. And we hold the breakfast items and we ask the student, so what did you have for breakfast? Did you have cereal or oatmeal? And we hold the 2 items in front of the student and we wait for them to respond. We can give a 5 to 7 second pause and wait for them to respond. If the student needs help, we can hold the 2 items in front of them, and we can also put the desired item that we want the student to choose in front to prompt them to choose. For example, in this case, the oatmeal. And we can ask again, so what did you have for breakfast? Another way we can do it is we can also point to the item and ask, so what did you have for breakfast? And we can point to the oatmeal or move it in front and point to prompt the student to answer. One thing to keep in mind is if your student is not verbally expressing themselves yet, we can also use other forms of communication, which are the core board. And your student can point to either yes or no to answer. They can also use puppets, yes and no puppet, that I made using popsicle sticks, and they can answer using these. You can also use sign language, which this is yes for sign language and this is no. So for example, you can grab the 2 choices and ask your student, did you have oatmeal for breakfast? And they can either point to the core board yes and no, or they can use their puppets using yes or no. So after we have identified what they had for breakfast, we're going to draw what they had for breakfast. So on this page, I printed a picture of a bowl and a cup. If you don't have access to a printer, you can go ahead and draw it, and you can just draw. So now we're going to draw what we had for breakfast. So we let the student know, so let's draw what you ate for breakfast. And you can use the actual item in front of them so they can use as a reference. And it's always good to provide choices of what utensil they want to use. Do you want to use crayons or markers? And they can either verbally respond, they can use gestures, they can point, or they can grab the item to make a choice. So now we're going to have your student draw. And they're going to go ahead and get their choice of either a crayon or marker, and they're going to draw. And it's important to remember that any marks they make on the paper are great, because that's a sign of emerging writing skills. So now once your student is done drawing, we can talk about the picture and we can ask, so what's inside the cup? Or is this your favorite breakfast? for students that might need help drawing, you can always use some hand-over-hand support. You can also provide maybe a larger writing tool like a marker that is easier to grasp, and they can also use a palmer grab, which is easier to hold to draw. Another way you can do this activity is by using visuals. So I cut here items from your local grocery ad, and you just cut them out and you can have the student glue and paste onto the paper. So now that we're done drawing, we can focus on letter recognition and phonemic awareness. And we can do that by grabbing, for example, our oatmeal box and telling your student, so now you drew a picture of maple and brown sugar oatmeal. And we can focus on the letter M or the sound of the letter M. And we can point, let's point to the letter M. M, and the sound for the letter M is and we can have your student try, and you can point and reference different letters that you see on the container. So a few adaptations I created for this activity is that you can use a 3-inch binder like this one to use as a writing surface. You can also use a binder clip to hold the paper. If you don't have a binder clip, you can also use tape to hold down the paper to make it easier to color, right? And I also got a foam roller. And this is good, for example, if you have a pencil, you just put it in and it's easier to grasp with palmer grasp, or you can even use it with a crayon and you put the crayon inside and it makes it easier to grasp. And these adaptations are good for students that are developing their fine motor skills. So we're all done with Intentional Teaching Card LL40. And for this activity, we focused on literacy skill and language development. Thank you for watching.